Hi, I'm Willie and welcome to my channel. Thanks for being here. And before we get back to our Unify controller on Windows setup that we're walking through, and before we get back to our Edge Switch setup, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about a different company that provides access points. And I saw their access points, and we kind of got together and they sent me two access points. They sent me, this one is the Ligowave Infinity, and this is the NFT3 AC. And then behind me, if you follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you saw the LEDs from this little guy. And I've already been playing around with this a little bit. And so let's talk about Ligowave for just a second. So they provide wireless products only. So they don't provide the full stack like you're used to with the other vendors like Ubiquiti that I work with. So they provide wireless and PoE, and then they do have some software. And the Infinity is their wireless access point for indoor-outdoor deployment. And then they have a controller software that also goes with it. Now, I'm not so much going to focus on this. This isn't so much really the Infinity controller. You can run it in the cloud. They give you X amount of access points for free to run it in the cloud. You can download it for Windows and Linux. That's not really what piqued my interest with these access points. What really piqued my interest is that these access points can actually, one of them can be like the master access point, the master node, and you can actually create a controller out of kind of in the network on the access points themselves. And you can, I think you can support 50 access points this way. So the NF2AC is a dual band, dual radio 802.11 AC 2x2, and it's got 3 gigabit ports. And the smaller one that I've got hooked up back here will do passive PoE or AT or AF or AT. And the big guy is 3x3 with 2 gigabit ports and the integrated security radio. And I've not really played with this yet, so we're going to take it out of the box. We're going to plug it in, and we're going to take a look. Real quick, let's look at the specs on this, though. So it's a high-performance dual radio access point, and it's got 2.45 gigahertz radios, and it's got the integrated security radio. So it says it can do real-time spectrum analysis without any interruption to the main radio, any interruption to the main radios for dedicated access. Now, they did send me these access points for free, but they are not telling me what to say. They want to know kind of what I think. So we're going to plug it in. We'll do a couple videos on these, mix it in with some of our other stuff. But I wanted to get these out there so you can see it, make a judgment for yourself. So. Like I said, they do have the controller, but we're actually going to play. What I'm interested in is how they actually have the controller built into the access points themselves. To me, that's a little interesting. I mean, we're fairly familiar with controller-based architecture, installing that on a Linux box or a Windows box. Real quick, we'll take a look at the specs here. It's got independent 720 megahertz CPU. It's got the dual radio 3x3. With 802.11 AC support, up to 1.75 gigabits, 29 dBm radio output, 5 dBi integrated omnidirectional antennas. It's got the dedicated security radio, 2 gigabit Ethernet ports, and it supports AF and AT. And it's got a flexible wall and ceiling mounting bracket. They say it'll cover 492 feet. And it has Ethernet 1 is obviously your PoE interface, and then there's a reset button. So this is the box. Let's open the box, see what comes in the box. So the first thing that we have is we actually have a sticker that you can stick on the wall. You drill your holes according to the sticker, and then you should be able to just mount the AP. That's pretty nice. And looks like they've got an installation guide here. And it tells you what the package contents should be. It tells you, you get a PoE injector, and you get all the stuff that goes along, a mounting plate, mounting bracket, shows you how to mount it, tells you what all the ports and everything are, and then on the back it tells you what the default, so it's got a failback IP, so if you don't have a DHCP server, it's going to be 2.66. The login is going to be admin01. Talks about the antenna a little bit, and then it talks about how you can get support. So with Ligowave, their U.S. office is in Canton, Georgia, and you can email them, or they actually provide a toll-free number where you can call them during regular business hours, and at no charge to you. If you purchase their access points, they will provide phone support. All right, so the next thing we've got is the access point itself, bubble wrap, and then here is the AP, and it's got this honeycomb texture on it, and then you've got your LEDs up front, so you've got an LED for each radio, 2.4 and 5 gigahertz, and you've got one for LAN 1, LAN 2, and then you have power. And this thing is kind of hefty. Let's see if we can get this plate off here. We got to pop this guy off so that we can get to the ports, so that we can plug a cable in. But I don't know if I've got what I need to be able to do this without breaking it. So one of the advantages to opening this stuff and not doing it on the fly is that I don't have to figure things out like this. But what's life without a little adventure, right? So I'm going to take the mounting bracket off. I just used a key. And I depressed that little guy right there. So looks like it's held together with standard Phillips screws. The back is metal, and it's got kind of a rough texture to it. It's got the serial number and the MAC addresses, the FCC ID. And then if we look here, I don't know if you can see that or not. Let me see if I can adjust the light a little bit. Then you've got your 2 Ethernet ports and your reset button in there. So that's that. And then what else do we have? We have the power cord for the PoE injector, and then we have this is a 48 volt gigabit PoE injector, and then we have mounting screws. So that's what comes in the box. And I'm not sure what I'm not actually sure what the price on this unit is. I don't know. I haven't looked that up because it's not on Amazon, so I can't post any Amazon affiliate links for it. But we're going to go ahead and plug this guy in. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to plug this in, swap it with a little guy. Then we'll find the IP on the network, and we'll take a look at the interface. So here's a quick little side note before we hop into the IP address. When I went to plug that in, on the bottom, the Ethernet ports are actually not labeled. So if you're not paying attention and you're not looking at that and understanding that 1 is on the left according to the diagram and 2 is on the right, you could plug the power into the wrong one. Now, it should be auto-sensing because it's AFAT, but if you don't have any power coming on, and just make sure you're paying attention to that. So we're going to find our IP, and then we're going to hop into the access point. So I've opened up my edge router, and you can see that the NFT-3AC has grabbed 66.166. So let's go ahead and get that guy open. Okay, so I just typed in 192.168.66.161, and this is the first screen that comes up. So it's like many other manufacturers, you have to say that you will only use this equipment in the country for which you have authorization. And we are going to say that we agree, and we only have the United States as the option. Up here, we have the product name, the firmware version, serial number, MAC address, of course, the user agreement, so we'll click Next. Now, this is where it kind of gets a little interesting for me, is that you can create a master AP, so integrated, master AP integrated. This is where their controller is integrated into the access points. You can do the cloud controller, which is external, so whether you're hosting it or you're hosting in the cloud or Ligowave is hosting that for you, or you can configure these as standalone APs. I could see some situations like if you just needed a one-off access point where you would do that. Otherwise, I don't know that that's such an awesome idea. But anyway, we're going to do the master AP integrated, right? And we're going to go next. And then it's going to ask us to enter a little information like friendly name. And so we're going to say NFT 3AC master device location lab. Like Howe. Infinity testing. We're going to make it WPA2 personal, and we'll make it and we will, for now, go ahead and we're just going to leave this dynamic for now. Now it wants to know what we want the admin username and password to be, so since it's set in the QSG and this is the lab, admin01, I'm not sure why they gave us that because it's asking us for that. So I'm going to go ahead and put admin01 in there because we're going to leave it default. Now it says important, this password is used to manage all devices in the same network. It must be the same on all devices in the same network, otherwise the device will not work. So this thing's probably using SSH in the background. So now we've got our finished screen, so we'll go ahead and bring this up. And we're going to tell it that we never want to remember that password. Okay, if you were impatient like me, it took almost 2 minutes for that to save. But of course, it's doing a lot of stuff on, it's not an Intel Xeon. You know what I'm saying? It's a 700 and some odd megahertz processor. So here we go. We're at the main page. This is actually in the access point. This is not on another controller. So we've got the product name, serial number, operating country, the network mode, which is interesting. So we're going to go through these menus and take a look at this so you can kind of decide whether you want to get one of these and put it in the lab and put it next to some of your other access points and see how it fares. You can see we've been up 7 minutes 56 seconds as when this page loaded. We've got connection, it's at a gigabit, and we've got a 3% CPU load. Down here we've got Infinity testing, we are broadcasting it, no VLAN assigned, 0 stations. Down here we've got our DHCP, and then you've got your 2.4 and your 40 gigahertz, so you can see that it's at channel 6, which is probably conflicting with everything else in the lab. I've only got a dozen access points running at the moment. We've got our power output, channel width, and then we come over here to our 5 gigahertz and we've got the same information. Come over here to statistics and you get all of your Ethernet statistics and your radio statistics. Down here is the wireless networks, and we don't see anybody connected to these because no one is connected at the moment. You've got info, you've got counters, you've got a refresh button right there. Then down here is the network. You can see some MAC addresses floating around there. Here's our ARP table, our default route. It picked all that stuff up, so that looks good. This is on our status button. And I happen to know that there's a newer version of the firmware out too because I updated a little one. We'll do that in another video. But real quick, let's before we get into settings, let's take a look at controller because we did that. So we enabled the Infinity controller, and this is the master AP. And so we will, in another video, we'll plug another AP in and we'll manage 2 APs using this as the controller. Because each of these manufacturers tries to do something a little different, and this is kind of, I think, where Ligowave is at, being able to use these. I think there are some other manufacturers that did that, but I don't know. I think maybe Arrowhive did that, but I don't know if it was this comprehensive. So we're over to Tools, and you've got your security radio, so you can hit Start Scan on the security radio. Now it's got that dedicated security radio, just like our SHD from Ubiquiti, so that if you were going to do that, it's not going to drop, any clients that are on. So you can see the little bit of information that it gave us there. We can start doing site surveys. So if we actually start the site survey on the 5 gigahertz radio, it shows us what's going on here. Then we can pull up the spectrum analyzer and tell it to start, and looks like let's see what we get here. May take a minute. Okay, so this is in real time. So you got your waterfall down here. So that's kind of nifty. I kind of like that. I don't know what kind of a toll it's taking on the access point to do this and display this. It would be interesting to see. Now, one thing we will do is we'll put this up side by side, next to an SHD after they are released. They are non-beta, and we'll see, how they perform. So it takes a minute to stop, but like I said, you're running this software on the access point. So we'll give it a second here. This video is a little longer already than I wanted, but we'll get through this and then we'll do some of the other stuff in other videos. Okay, so that's stopped, and then you've got your ping and your trace. So just hit this and we should get reply, 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 and it'll probably go until we stop. That's what it looks like. Right? But they've got some pretty cool graphic representations of things that are going on. So now let's take a look. We already looked at the controller. We looked at the tools. We looked at the status. So now look at the settings. Now, right here on the wireless configuration, we've got repeater mode, and we can actually, what is repeater mode? So like, a lot of the vendors, they share the same concepts. These things are kind of standard across the board. They maybe call it something different. And we've got band steering exposed right here. Our 2.4 gigahertz radio is enabled. And here's all of the channels for the 40 megahertz upper. If we drop that to 20 megahertz, we get our standard channels that we're used to, 1, 6, and 11, those 3 non-overlapping channels. You can change the IEEE mode from BGN to just N. And then you can do some advanced radio things down here you can play around with. I don't know why. I mean, maybe a legacy something or other. You need to drop it down to is it CISO, however you want to say it, MIMO. Then the 5 gigahertz, you kind of have the same thing. And you are, I believe, limited to 8 SSIDs as well on this. So now we hop over to the network configuration. You can see Ethernet 1 and 2. They do support IP version 6. There's spanning tree. We can put a secondary IP. We can change the management VLAN ID. Then under services, we can enable, disable NTP in here. Here's the remote management. Now, just like I can't figure out, like in an edge switch, why Telnet is even an option. I cannot figure out why Telnet is an option. This is 2017. Look, down here it says 2017. Ligowave, this is 2017. Why do we have the Telnet? Please, somebody explain to me why we are keeping Telnet around when everything is passed in clear text. System alerts. We can enable system alerts. It's got SNMP, WNMS, and discovery services. So it can do Bonjour, CDP, LDP, and SSDP. And then we've got the system configuration. So the friendly name, we can lock in the longitude, the latitude. We can do a backup of a config, restore, reboot, factory defaults. We can edit our user. We can change the LAD status. And then we can disable radios on a schedule, and we can enable or disable that little reset button in the back. And then you can go out to Ligowave, you can download the new firmware, you can select it and upload it. So maybe we'll do that in the next one. This video is getting a little long here. But then you've got the support where you can get the troubleshooting file, and then here is the system log. So that's just a quick overview, and like I said, we'll get into this a little later. I'm more interested in the controller running on the APs than installing the controller, and I'm sure that, well, there are things, I don't know that we're going to be able to do guest network this way, but I haven't tried it yet, so we'll figure that out. They provide free resources for this. There are books and stuff on how to configure this that are available, plus you can call support. So check that out. So just bringing you a little something new here so you can draw your own conclusions, but we will spend a couple of videos setting these up. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please share. Please comment. Please follow me on Twitter and Instagram. Please use the Amazon affiliate links that are down there in the comments to keep a few bucks rolling in. Keep getting new gear and things like that. And I will see you in the next video.